All right, welcome to the Conquest Podquest. We have Kenyon, is it Salo?
That's right.
Awesome. Okay, I was like, all right, cool. Can you tell the people a little bit about yourself and what the bucket list life is about?
Yeah, absolutely. My name, as you mentioned, is Kenyon Salo.
Yep.
I've been doing the bucket list life for just over a year now, but it's a part of a group. It's this whole awesome community of people that have come together to make a difference in people's lives. And we are a philanthropic company, but for profit.
Oh, that's
And so
awesome.
this community and group of people have really done some amazing things. We have a lot of videos on our site. We do a lot of content, podcasts, blogs, videos. We've done some cool stories. We've wrestled alligators to all
Yeah,
the
I
way,
saw
doing
that.
that were in a assisted living home, and they told us stories about their lives. So a lot of really cool and touching stories.
That's awesome. I ended up watching, I think it was your demo reel, where it was showing you going out doing skydiving and then the base jumps, and it was a
Yeah.
collaborative. That blew my mind. I had like, goosebumps for a second because I haven't even skydived or anything like that to that effect to get that surge of adrenaline. Obviously, I've jumped, from high places in the water and get that feeling of free fall, but not, a skydive is completely like perception changing, mind altering, reality bending type experiences that like, whoa, this is life, and just like to experience that as many times as you have is nuts. Like, can you talk a little bit about your skydiving?
Yeah, I was just like you when I was younger in my
Hmm.
teenage years. I started jumping off of train bridges and cliffs and
Yep.
anything I could to get into water and have that like aerial spatial awareness, that
Th-
falling feeling. It's something that I really enjoyed. And as I progressed through snowboarding and eventually to skydiving,
hmm.
I started at 98 and it changed everything for me because it was this whole new feeling of being able to be free, not touching anything.
Yeah.
And at first, yeah, it's the adrenaline rush, but then
Well,
it
yeah.
becomes a challenge to understand how to fly
That's
and
cool.
fly your body in the air. And recently, last summer, I put on a wingsuit, and that, again, after 4,000 skydives, I was
Just
like,
like
oh, falling is one thing,
just
but
flying.
flying
Yeah.
a wingsuit, that's flying right there. That is true flying.
I've seen those guys go down through the mountains and make these like with the GoPros, obviously, and you see how close they get. It's ridiculous. They're just going like flying right down and just being able to almost touch things. Like some of these guys are nuts. And obviously, I don't know what type of speeds they're reaching in that. Like obviously, you probably know. What do you reach when you like skydive down at like a normal, like how many miles per hour normally?
Well, a lot of those guys are my friends. I know them. Sometimes I go to Switzerland and jump with them, or
Yeah.
Italy or Norway and that type of thing. And in a free fall straight down, we go about 120 to 170
Wow.
miles an hour or more, but that's about average. When they are flying the wingsuits, the downward speed slows down, but the forward speed speeds up. So they could be going 100, 120, 150 miles an hour
Oh wow.
forward speed. And so they're covering a lot of distance
Distance
while they're falling very low
down.
towards
It's
the
that
ground.
diagonal kind of drift. Yeah.
Two
That's
to one, 3 to 1
yep.
ratio, that type of thing.
That's awesome. I know I was checking out some of your podcasts, and one of them was Michael
Uh-huh.
Mogileski. I actually interviewed him like couple weeks back. He was an interesting dude with the Alaska, and like I saw that was one of the few places that I think you haven't been yet, or
Yeah,
out of
it's the
all the
one
states.
state I haven't been to.
You should hook up with him because he'll take you out into like icebergs and just like climb these things and go in the middle of these like temporary like houses of ice. And he says the center of them are like sapphires. It's just like
Wow, it sounds
insane.
so cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's insane there. And well, he like makes his living doing like, I don't know, a bunch of stuff with Alaska. But he's a very interesting dude. But what are some of the bucket list things you pursued? Like you mentioned the
Well,
alligators and like different collaborative ones. I know you have your own personal like mission. Well, you should probably actually
sure.
talk about that because I say I know this, but the audience doesn't.
Absolutely. Well, the bucket list life is about inspiring moments every day that take your breath away. And the biggest thing that the difference is of the bucket list life is it's not any one individual. Sure, may have started it, but became much bigger than me. It incorporated this whole community. So what happens now is it's about helping others achieve those inspiring moments. And that kicks back to the person that does the helping that fulfills them in a way that they can't even fathom until they actually do it. See, as human beings, we want to naturally help others, but a lot of times we don't know how. So a lot of things that have happened for me during the bucket list life over the past 15 months is that I started
Oh wow.
doing things that I didn't even have on my list, but it was on someone else's list. And so when I helped them do that very thing, as an example, this one girl, Hallie, wanted to see superheroes on the outside of the children's hospital because she had just gotten over cancer and she wanted to give back. I said, absolutely, we're going to do that. And 4 months later, actually 6 months later, they were rappelling down the outside of the children's hospital in superhero costumes, touching the windows for the kids. The kids were just all emotional and super excited. We were emotional and excited. And she got to have her dream come true. Now, look, that was something that was never on my list, but the end result was she had the best day ever. Those kids did, and some of those kids aren't with us today.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I had something that I said, well, you know what? That's an experience that I got to have. See, it's about sharing life's experiences. That's the bucket list life.
That's awesome. Could you talk a little bit about the base jumps? Because I know you've had over 400 plus, right?
Yeah,
yeah. It was like
base jumping's super fun. Well, that started back in 2000, and back then, if you just jumped off a cliff, you were considered like, oh, that was crazy. You did a base jump. And then it was like aerials, like, oh, he could do a backflip or a front flip. That was the thing that was just new and challenging. Obviously, that's progressed, and now the wingsuit flying, and as their proximity flying, and doing a lot of those things. It's something that I absolutely respect. At the same time, it's something where I've lost a lot of friends. I've had a lot of friends that
I would imagine,
unfortunately have died in the sport, but we learn from it. But the trial and error sometimes can take away some of the people you love most.
Yeah, that's insane. These guys are living, you're all living on the edge to an extent. I mean, every day it's like, hey, this is life or death. You put yourself into a life or death situation, but you're so good at it to a certain extent that it's like, oh, well, how much further can I go? Because everybody, you know, wants to see their potential, you know, or like their maximum. How much can I do? And like some of these guys are probably like, oh yeah, I can do that, and then just, you know, calculations
well, it comes down
fail.
to it. Yeah, that's it. It's a calculated risk. And so I always err on the side of safety. I'll walk down if it's too windy, or I'll do something if I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm never going to put myself over that edge or like go too low. I'm always going to keep a safety margin because that's what you have the best chance to stay alive. And so sharing those experiences with friends, like some of the things that are coming up where we want to go fly our wingsuits in Italy, in Brento. I have a lot of friends here in Colorado that we're practicing and training so that we can go do our wingsuit flights over there. We can high five, be like, that was the best thing ever. And so that's some stuff that we want to do.
Yeah, I saw was it the high five? You got like a bunch of people to all high five in a room at the same time.
Yeah, that was for an event that I was fortunate enough to be on stage. And they said, well, what do you want to do? You got 5 minutes. I said, well, I don't know. How about we teach people how to high five in 5 minutes? And so, yeah, we had 5,000 people high-fiving at the same time.
I also saw that you were trying, is it stand-up? Or you were trying...
It's that one thing where I want to have experiences.
Yeah.
And I want to learn those things. And that was before the bucket list life. And it was just like, wait a minute, I think I could do that. I'm going to try. And it terrifies me. I'd rather jump off a cliff than stand on stage and be judged every 15 seconds. Because every 15 seconds, they expect you to make them laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, could I pull this off? And yeah, so I've been experimenting with that. Did 2 minutes, then 3, then 4. I did a 6-minute set. And it's really quite crazy. And I would say that's one of the,
I mean, like,
one of the scariest things I've ever done.
I was actually surprised. Like, I saw you had the bucket list life, and then, you know, different stunts you've done where you're like hanging off the top of a bridge and stuff. Like, I've climbed like cranes bare hand, you know, like just obviously no rappelling gear or anything, but like, so I understand that kind of like, yes, just go and do it. But like something like stand up though, yeah, you're right. Just being judged by that many people who are all like obviously not going to stand on stage and do it. Nobody, they would be, the reason they're there is to see a stand-up comedian, you know what I mean? Nobody there is a stand-up well, sometimes they're in the crowd, but like either way, I think that just being judged by so many people, all those eyes creates that pressure, and then you're like, oh my god, can I do this? And then bombing in front of a crowd, I can't even imagine. Yeah, it's like that silence and just like, oh wow, that's no good. Like, but that's how you learn too at the same time, just like anything, you know what I mean? And I'm sure like the first time you went up compared to like you've gone up multiple times, right?
Yeah.
So like
even
now,
Seinfeld. Yeah.
Still hard to work a room sometimes. I'm sure there's variables against you. Sometimes there's a heckler, or there's like, you know, some dude in the back that like just isn't not going with it, and that creates an energy for the people around that guy too, and that kind of spreads. And like, but at the same time, if you're good and you're killing it, like those, it doesn't matter. You can always like, I don't know what type of comedy you're into, or like what you were kind of, is it lighthearted or is it kind of like explicit?
It's got a
Or
little
both?
bit. It's got a little bit of an edge to it.
That's my
Maybe
favorite type of.
13. Let's call it
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not Chris Rock style, and it's not Seinfeld. It's kind of right in the middle.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and even Seinfeld bombed his very first time on stage, and he's one of the best comedians ever now.
Oh yeah, it is definitely an art form. I know that like all these people think you just like go up there and you say some stuff, like you just don't have it, like, well, some people do improv, but like there's a lot of people that think, oh, I'm just gonna go up on stage and say some funny things and people will laugh. But like the people that are really good stand-up comedians are like spending every night working their craft, crafting jokes, fixing little, even if it's a word, because there's a certain word in there that just, you got to take that out, or shortening something, or like delivering the punchline just a little bit, tweaking these little things, but it's building their craft, you know what I mean? It's not like they have one set that they make and it was perfect the first time around. They made the ultimate set, you just wrote it down. And like that doesn't happen. They go out, they practice, they try it on different people, go to different clubs, see how it works, tweak things, and then when they film an actual set, they have it all built. It's been worked on, a ton of times. But
Well, yeah, practice makes perfect. You got to have 10,000 hours to be good at anything.
oh, for sure. Could you talk anything about like any of the stunts you've done and stuff? Because like, obviously I saw you like when you were hanging off that thing. I was like, oh wow, he must be into crazy adventures and stuff. But like,
Sure. I mean, a long time ago, it's been that way since I was a kid. It was how far could I jump my bike? How could I ride my skateboard? And then as a teenager, it was like jumping off train bridges and dodging trains and diving into the water. Everything there was in and around challenging myself, but also there was a lot of ego at the same time. I wanted people to see me, understand how good I was at
yeah,
stuff. I wanted to show off. I did that in pro snowboarding. But that changed over time. And the flip side that happened with my stunts was that, wait a minute, what if I could help others have a similar experience? Look, I don't expect them to hang from a bridge. I don't expect them to jump out of an airplane.
no, yeah,
So few people will actually do that. But if I can get them to do something that they didn't think they were going to do because they see and they trust me and they say, hey, if I'm ever going to do a skydive in my life, the one person I'm going to go with is you because I trust you. That makes me happy because I've helped them be able to get to that point. And I'll guide them through that process. I'll cheer them on. I'll celebrate them. So the stunts that I do are just, sometimes I call them stunts, or sometimes I just call it a challenge, right?
yeah,
Something that I want to
obstacle.
understand. And certainly, look, I do these things because I'm scared. I don't want to die. No one wants to die here.
Yeah,
But how far can I get there but stay within my realm and my ability? And that's the key. Always understanding my ability.
that's awesome, and I think that's obviously a great message to pass on to people. Do you have a mission statement for the bucket list life, or?
Yeah, it's what I mentioned earlier. It's inspiring moments every day that'll take your breath away. And so really the best way to explain it is, we're not the 16-ounce steak that you sit down and eat because you're like, ooh, this is going to be so great. Yeah, you're going to eat that steak. We're the eighth of the spices that you put on that steak that make it the best steak ever, right? So we're not your life, but we're the exclamation point to your life. We add that value. Because a lot of people right now, they're connected more than ever. In social media, they have this thing where they're connected to so many people. Instagram, Twitter,
Yeah.
Facebook. I have 5,000 friends, et cetera, et cetera. But they're more disconnected and more lonely than ever,
It's
and they
true.
feel this inside. So what the Bucket List Life does is allow them to connect with the opportunity to be able to connect with people and get out there and do something with other human beings. And as we progress from this brand and we start consulting for businesses and we start working on our application or our app, our
Yep.
smartphone app, this is really going to be a game changer for people to be able to connect and have those experiences together.
What type of future plans do you have for the app then? Like, is this something that like people could interact with each other with and make like maybe a virtual checklist, or help each other complete each other's checklists? You know what I mean, through social media maybe even, or like.
Well, sure. There's a lot of angles and there's a lot of apps out there for bucket list items and things like that. We believe we have a game changer, and so we're doing some things in right now that I can't disclose too much
that's
about, but I
fine,
will
yeah.
say the basic fact is this. We're going to get you out. We're going to get you doing stuff with other people, and it's going to be a way that you're going to, at the end of the day, say, wow, that was a different type of experience for me other than what I thought I wanted to do.
That's awesome. I guess do you have any last words you would give people, any advice? If anybody was a prospective adventurer, looking to explore things like skydiving, base jumping, I saw you flew into was it the Denver Broncos for the
Yeah,
skydive team?
fortunately, I'm on the team of 6 that gets to jump into each of the home games, and we land on the field just prior to kickoff, and it's a
Yeah,
pretty surreal experience, and I'm grateful to be a part of that
all
team.
those eyes just watching as you're like coming in, like
It's fun. It's a challenge.
yeah, like that's insane. Um, I'll go ahead.
Well, in terms of last words that you were mentioning,
Yep.
here's the things that I would like to leave the listeners or the viewers with. What it comes down to this is always say yes. A lot of times people say no because they want to figure out first. I say yes first and let it just happen. The how's going to happen. So say yes and then let it happen. Second, always ask someone else what they want to do and how you can help them. Because a lot of times they'll say, hey, what do you want to do? You're visiting town. And I simply say, you know what? What is it that you haven't done in your hometown? And a lot of times I go, oh, wait a minute, I've never done this. I haven't hiked there. I haven't gone to this place or seen that thing. I said, well, let's go do that because you haven't done it. I haven't done it. Let's experience it together. And then that experience, sure, you got to have that, but it's about the friendship and the bonding that will happen out of it. And that's a game changer.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Kenyon. And where can you be
Pleasure.
reached at on social media? I know at
Yeah.
Twitter it's at Kenyon
Well, there's Kenyon,
Salo,
at Kenyon Salo. I'd say the easiest thing is to go to thebucketListLife.com, check out all our social media, all our videos and everything there. And if you want to connect on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Kenyon Salo, and love to have that energy there, and I'll interact with anybody. That's what life is about.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, man.
Yeah, you're very welcome. High fives.
Hell yeah, dude. Have a wonderful day. Psh. All right. Thank you. Bye.